IceFrog goes on a whim and thinks about like, oh, this could be kind of fun. Let's just fuck the whole game.
Rumors have circulated that IceFrog either no longer works on Dota 2 or only contributes to major patches.
IceFrog, are you watching? You motherfucker! Nerf Vanguard heroes, you stupid fuck! Please! Nobody likes this meta!
Perhaps due to creative stagnation, or perhaps because of deadlock. But is that true? And more importantly, are Dota's updates steering the game towards a healthier state? Let's start with the state of Dota as I see it. In the early days, before talents, facets, neutrals, and tormentor deaths,
he killed himself on the torment? What?
The game was much simpler. The argument for adding these layers of complexity was that it allowed for better balancing of the game through a wider range of adjustments than just tweaking armor or agility gain every patch. At the time, I thought it made sense, and now I'm not so sure. So imagine this analogy. Your name is Jenkins, and you're running a beloved neighborhood pizza shop. One day, your pepperoni supplier changes, and the new batch is slightly too salty. To fix it, you could reduce the salt in the dough, or swap your cheese for a milder one. Instead, what we did in Dota is akin to adding pineapple to the pizza. The acidity and sweetness balances the salt, creating an innovative, seemingly superior pizza. But soon, the customers grow bored, so you add truffle oil.
Brother, what's that?
And now the pizza is a bit too greasy. Instead of scaling back, you counter that with pickled onions. Do you see the pattern here? With every new ingredient, the pizza grows more chaotic. What was once solved with simplicity, adjusting quantities or rearranging components, has become an overcomplicated balancing act. And the same applies to Dota. Each new layer makes the game harder to fine-tune and perhaps harder to enjoy. Take Wings Gaming as an example. They popularized the Brewmaster Invoker combo.
Got backdoor protection though. The creep wave is just about to come in there we have it, the timing. How do you stop this? Look at this go, the racks are falling!
In patch 7.0, Brew's Earth Panda gained 300% damage to buildings. When it became overpowered, the solution was simple. Reduce its BAT and replace the percentage boost with a flat bonus. The combo remained viable, just a little bit less broken, a straightforward but boring fix. Contrast that with Dragonite. When the hero's Manta Eggs build became dominant, the solution wasn't a subtle adjustment, but splitting DK's strengths into 3 facets and gutting the Aghanim Scepter. The result? 2 terrible facets that are pretty much not played, and an overpowered Cleave, a hero that's even more unbalanced than ever. With more toppings, bad pizzas and bad hero designs became easier to create. And nowadays, when we see changes that look like memes, they aren't as funny or seem as creative as they once did. IceFrog has a history of turning memes into elegant mechanics. Remember Pocket Ricky? It started as a Reddit joke, but became a clever addition to the game. Yet, recent facets like the embedded micro visage one feel uninspired, as if AI generated them. To be fair, facets may improve over time, just as Respawn talent once did. But lately, the sheer number of inelegant changes has made the game feel odd. Consider the Earth Spirit facet, which angered every player that barely touched Earth Spirit one time.
Sad.
Very sad.
Or the Tinker Overhaul, which turned a high-skill hero into a spammable bot with higher pub win rates than it was in the past. On the flip side, high-skill heroes like Arc Warden languish as some of the hardest and worst characters to play. This cycle is frustrating. High-ceiling heroes like Lone Druid and Meepo go from broken to obliterated.
They find him with the Gleipnir Ramses. Arena down, that's not what they needed, but still enough damage. They're taking him down. This is 4v5 and they're winning. KB out from Ramses. Falcons trying to do what they can.
As chaotic and crazy as Dota is, there has to be some simplicity beneath it all for everything to truly work.
Dota is just a weird game. Like, you can do a million things, and everything can work.
It's like the pizza. Most combinations are delicious, but there is a limit. If motor oil and quartz become topping options, it's not going to be easy to come together.
Oh my god.
In this endless chase to impress Reddit or recapture the magic of those incredible patches from 10 years ago, maybe we've lost sight of what we really want this game to be. And don't get me wrong, Dota is still miles ahead of any other game out there.
So even though I like Riot Games, I like other games. Okay, I'm gonna give it a buck. Their games are soulless.
Now, let's talk a little bit about IceFrog, or Abdul Ismail, as listed in the paperwork of a 2017 Valve lawsuit. If the rumors are true, and he is now working on other projects, how much can Dota thrive and survive without his direct influence? Last year, a lot of people complained about the stale meta until the Facets patch dropped. Rumors swirled that the delay happened because IceFrog was busy elsewhere.
Had not been working on Dota much the past 2 years, according to rumors. That's why they weren't any big changes of the map or economics. IceFrog's supposed to be back since the last patch, so we can expect bigger changes again.
His active involvement has always been a safety net, allowing for faster patches and better fine-tuning. And honestly, it's not just his big ideas that matter. It's the way those ideas get refined over time that makes them truly impactful. The game is in an okay state, but the biggest issue is how deceptive the notion of hero viability has become. People often gauge the health of the game by looking at how many heroes were unplayed at a major event like the International. Saying that TI had 25 unpicked heroes and thus the highest amount of unpicked heroes is really dumb, because in 2012 we had 90 heroes total, so 24 unpicked heroes at that time is actually way worse than 25 unpicked heroes out of 126 we have today. But the thing is, Dota is stale, but we're looking at it the wrong way. Let's compare TI7 and TI 2024. In TI7, only 4 heroes were higher contest rate than 60%, which means that there was not a huge subset of heroes that was considered by most to be broken. Compare that to 2024, where a whopping 13 heroes are just absolutely disgusting and banned or picked more than 60% of the time. Then, let's look at it the other way. Instead of looking at unpicked heroes, I will look at heroes that were only considered in 3% of games or less. In TI7, we had 5 uncontested heroes and 14 heroes that showed up less than 3%, so that's 19 total. Compare that to last TI, where not only we had 21 uncontested heroes, but we also had 17 pretty much ghost heroes. So if your brain's still keeping up, at TI7, 16% of the heroes were shit. Last TI, 31% is shit, twice as many or a third of the entire hero pool that just never shows up. The actual problem is that the current pizza making process ended up with a meta where creativity is hindered. With so many heroes being out of the equation, cheese picks, unconventional drafts, diversity are hindered because guess what? This is a competitive game. So not only we're watching Liquid versus GG on the daily, we're also watching the same heroes being played because in the midst of chasing the perfect pizza, we forgot that sometimes less is more. Furthermore, I believe that one of the reasons legends like Puppey, No-Tail, Kuro, and Miracle have been slowly pushed out of the scene is that this type of game and environment favors players that can play 6 heroes really well more than someone that can play 20 heroes quite well. Experience and overall game knowledge has been partially substituted by specific knowledge.
Here's what I'm trying to get at. We have 2 problems currently. The first problem is Dota has gained so many new mechanics that I think even with IceFrog, this game is harder to balance than ever before. In a way, it's pretty convenient that IceFrog is a legend and no one at the same time. He reaps all of the rewards and very little criticism. I'm saying this because the whole idea of this persona makes me criticize the new dev team for every problem and put him in a pedestal as this savior. When honestly, as I said, even with IceFrog full time, this game has never been harder to balance. On top of that, we have the second problem, which is if IceFrog is only making the big patches, all of the small iterations in between can either put a game in a direction he didn't want it, or at best makes the game evolve slowly. Since I'm assuming the new devs either aren't allowed to go for big bold changes, or they're just shy in doing them, which makes the game a bit boring to watch. Again though, this game is amazing, and it is beyond a miracle. It's still such a genuine, complex, and beautiful game after 14 years. Because of that, I'm making this video. With that said, I'm not sure I have a solution. Overall, I don't want to chain IceFrog to a basement so he can work in this game forever, but at the same time, if he doesn't, I'm not sure how long till a pizza party happens, and not a good kind of party.